Welcome to Nation Station. I'm Kimber Nation, and for this episode, we're going to be talking to some people from the community, from our churches, and from the school, so that we can help give back for this joyous Christmas season. All right. Hi, guys. Thank you, Jamie and Mike, for joining us today. We're going to do an episode on giving back. And so I know, being a member of this church, of course, a First Christian church here in Vandalia, we have lots of fun things that we do. I feel like it's very actively involved in the community. So Mike, can I start with you with telling us some things that you do for the youth, or that we do for the
youth? Okay. As far as like for children? Or sure. Some things that we do come Christmas season is that we really enjoy is, for one, we have a Christmas tree that we put down in our lobby. We put ornaments on it, and we have information for every student that would be between the age of essentially preschool through 5th grade. Okay. Essentially that young fun age where there's like magic and Christmas still, that sort of thing. They get a little older and they're all wanting iPods and all that sort of stuff. They wouldn't appreciate it as much. Right. But we get them, we encourage our church members just to be generous, to take somebody's name off of it, to pray for them, to get them a gift that's like $20 or less, which is why I said the older kids, they might not, they may not appreciate a $20 gift, but I can promise you it's great to see those kids' faces light up. Right. And it's good, I think, also just model generosity to our students. And so that's something that our church specifically does for our students each year.
I love the connection for the multi-generations, because again, it gets everyone involved.
That's the hope, is that somebody will kind of, make a connection or get to know somebody, and maybe even that would, blossom, they see each other, meet each other, that sort of thing. Throughout the year. So we do that every year, and that's currently ongoing in our church. Another thing that we do is as a youth group, we usually go Christmas caroling every year. Sometimes that's a little more difficult than others. I know that we haven't been in the nursing home in a while, which is a bummer. But I know one of the things that we're considering doing this year is we're going to take a group and we're going to go to basically most of the some of our older crowd that might need a little encouraging, some of our shut-ins, people that aren't getting out as much because of COVID or health concerns. And we're just going to try to encourage them by singing some songs and maybe giving them a quick little gift or a card or something from the youth group. And so we're going to go out on a Saturday night, and it's not just going to be a youth group thing. We always kind of like whoever wants to come to our church. Right. So sometimes we'll have families and little kids, big kids, real big kids. Everybody kind of shows up, and we'll just have this caravan of cars going around through Vandalia for a couple of hours, just bring some joy to some people who sometimes need it. So,
do you know if you're going to be able to get into the nursing home?
I don't think that's going to happen. From what I understand, I think they've got some COVID stuff going on currently. So I definitely want a bunch of kids.
Always do enjoy that when they can.
And another thing that our church has got going on, which is kind of not only administering to our community, but to our church members as well, is they have a thing that they're doing called Parents Night Out. I know you're running that this year, but the idea is I believe it is for people who need to either maybe have a date night or need to go do some Christmas shopping, one or the other, or just get away from the kids for an hour or two.
That's right. Trying to give the parents a break and we'll have fun.
Or maybe get them here and then go wrap everything you had bought over Black Friday or whatever and wrap it while the kids are gone. But that's right. And is I think it's a 2-hour, 6 to 8 o'clock on December 10th, and it's a time for parents to get away from the students. They come here. I think they're going to be doing some meals, some activity, maybe a movie or something.
Have a movie.
And so that's only an opportunity for the kids to have a fun time. It's an opportunity for parents to get some free time. That's right. And I know we're using a lot of teenagers as help. Yes. And so there's another opportunity. Maybe you are not a parent, or your kids are long gone by now. You can still come and serve. That's right. So that's one of those other opportunities that you can come and make some of those things happen that we do.
We always need volunteers, don't we?
Always looking for help. Yeah. That's the way it always works.
Yep.
I think that's about what I got for our kids right now.
Well, thank you. And I know, of course, every Wednesday night you have youth. Does that continue through December? Or?
It does. Okay. We normally will, kind of when school's in, we're in. Mm-hmm. We go for the next 4 weeks straight. Okay. And then we're off when they're off for Christmas break. Yeah. And then after that, we're pretty much every Wednesdays until the end of the school year. So we do small group. Well, we'll have youth group outside of small group time, but we try to make sure that we have small groups. That way some adults, again, can connect with younger students, and we can kind of develop some of those lessons and things through discussion, not just through like lecturing. Because kids don't always learn the best through just hearing me lecture for
Right.
half an hour.
They need to talk it out and ask
They
questions.
need to kind of unwrap it a little bit and discuss it amongst themselves. So that's kind of the goal of that. So we do small group meetings at the school year. That's from 7 to 8:30 on Wednesday nights.
Okay, thank you. I know that's really a great outreach, and the kids love it. So there's a thrift store in town you guys have told me about. Can you explain kind of who's behind that and how people can go and get things they may need?
Well, the church, the kind of faith community that's behind it is Beacon of Hope.
Okay.
And their minister Nathan Geesey's kind of heading that up.
Okay.
From what I understand, church member has kind of donated the building and has kind of got it going, and they're kind of running it, managing it. There's a His Place Coffee House and deli,
Right off Main Street.
and then right next door to it is their thrift store. It's attached to the same building.
Okay.
From what I understand, they have gotten just an amazing amount of donations. I'm told that they literally have got their entire building full. I think he said he had a storage building or two as well, full of donations. And I know that he was telling us that there's two things that need to happen possibly, and that is one, I know he could definitely use volunteers to go through it.
Okay,
And
sort it out, organize it.
and maybe even to clean it, sort of thing, because you can't really process it essentially. And so I know he could use all the help to process it.
Okay.
I think the other side is he said they just have not had any sort of trafficking for people who are looking for things.
Okay.
So they had lots of people donating, but very few people coming in and donating or taking donations, so to speak,
Okay.
or picking things up. And I think they've gotten to the point where he literally is anyone that has a legitimate need for things, come by and we will bless your socks off. You can take what you want.
That is
And
great.
and I've been told there's some good quality items there. I think people maybe just don't realize the opportunity.
So if we know somebody in need, we can be that.
There's a place they could easily go to get coats
Okay.
and shirts and pants, and my guess is they
Maybe we
probably
need to give them a
got
ride.
all sorts of things to help out.
Okay.
I was out there just the other day, and it's set up very nice. They've done a fantastic job with that. And so again, that's on Main Street. His Place Coffee Shop and is right beside it, and I encourage you to go check that out as well. It's a great just kind of meeting place and so forth.
Okay.
But the thrift store's right beside it. They're doing a fantastic job there.
Oh, and there's one other thing I wanted you to talk about that our church does for the college kids.
Okay, our church every year takes sort of provides a care package for college students and military personnel. It's just sort of a Christmas time thing, and so usually a group of ladies meets, and it's all organized ahead of time, but meets and puts together a care package of baked goods and some non-perishable kinds of things, and puts all that in a box and mails those to wherever students are in college at. It's typically finals week or nearing the end of the semester, and so it's a nice touch for college students, and then certainly for people who are serving in the military, that hopefully brightens their day and would hopefully help them know that there are people that care about them and think about them.
Absolutely, that they were remembered.
Right,
They haven't been forgotten.
Right. So we do that every year, and that they just finished that today, is earlier this morning, the day we're recording this.
All right. Awesome. Thank you.
No, they don't do that now.
Oh.
I think it got to be such a big thing for them to keep up with. They used to, that's correct, but they, just because it's so much.
Which funeral home does this?
Waters Funeral Home.
Waters Funeral
But they do have a yearly memorial service, and that is this coming Sunday, December 5th in the afternoon.
Okay.
So
what do they do at the memorial service?
it's just they light some candles, just sort of in memory, and just people who've lost loved ones. The idea is just to
come together and have some support.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good way to describe it. So that's a Waters Funeral Home. If anybody has any questions, you can certainly contact them.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of widowers here lately that have lost their spouse.
Or kids or grandkids or all that stuff.
Right.
I think the idea is just to provide a place for them to kind of be able to say goodbye again.
Exactly.
I know for many of us, we consider grief we go to a funeral and move on, but for those who were close to the deceased, a lot of times it's a long circumstance. Everything reminds you of them.
Yeah.
Especially
that
this time of
hurt
year.
keeps getting brought up, and
Right.
a year later, you're still having anniversaries of things that you're doing
Right.
without them that you used to do with
Right.
them, sort of thing. And so I think the purpose is just to kind of maybe give them a place to kind of do some more mourning.
That is neat. I did not know they offered that. What a great service. So check it out. All right, Jamie, I know you're part of the Ministerial Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
Would you tell us a little bit about what they do for the community?
Yeah, sure. I've been involved with the Ministerial Alliance ever since I moved to Vandalia, which
Oh, I'm
has
sorry,
been-
Mike is too, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Mike,
I don't
yes.
mean to leave you out.
And Mike and I both are involved with the
Okay.
Ministerial Alliance,
It's okay.
and
I don't need any credit.
so, but ever since both of us, since we've been in Vandalia, and I've been here for about 10 and a half years now. And so, the Ministerial Alliance is a great group just to work with over the years. And
It's comprised of several ministers from different
yes,
churches,
so
right?
typically it's the ministers from the local churches
Okay.
here. And throughout the school year, we have regular meetings, and then we're usually off for the summer because of just the different scheduling and that kind
Right.
of thing.
Right.
But we have various services throughout the year that we are planning or events that we plan. We had a family fun night this past fall that went over
Oh, yeah.
really, really well, and looking forward to doing that next year. But as far as Christmas time goes, that we might think about, the Ministerial Alliance has a community Christmas hymn sing every year.
Always enjoy that.
always the first Sunday night of the month of December.
Okay.
And typically all the churches that are involved in the Ministerial Alliance or in local churches here in town are invited to come and be a part of that, and usually share special music, and we have some people reading scripture and that sort of thing.
Okay.
But a great way to meet a need of helping fill your soul a little bit,
Right.
which we all need in our lives. And so that's one thing the Ministerial Alliance does. Another thing the Ministerial Alliance does is support the food distribution effort that comes from the Mexico Help Center, which is for Audrain County, but it comes over to First Baptist Church, usually on the third Thursday of the month, although that may change in December depending on scheduling, but normally that's when it happens. And so the Ministerial Alliance financially supports that and helps them to be able to rent a truck to bring cold food items over. And also just encourage people to help be there to man
Distribution
the
of it,
distribution of it. And it's, like I say, it's at the First Baptist Church, and people come, and there's people there that are helping sort food to be sent out, packaged, in quantities according to size of household and that sort of thing. And so that's definitely a way that people can give back, either supporting the Ministerial Alliance financially, that in turn supports the food distribution and other things, other projects and so forth, but also just helping.
Yeah, again,
And I think they could
they always need
use
volunteers, don't they?
help with that as well. So those are a couple things that the Ministerial Alliance focuses on.
Okay. And then what about our church? I know we've got some things coming up.
Yeah.
Especially
For Christmas time, particularly Christmas related, in addition to what Mike has mentioned for the youth, we've got a couple of dinners coming up, and one of them we're calling brunch, and that's coming up December 12th. And so we'll have a children's Christmas program during our normal worship hour, and then we'll conclude with that, and then have a brunch following that's all provided, and we'd certainly invite the community to come and be a part of that. And then on December 19th, we're having a what we call our Christmas meal, and that is just a meal that's all provided, and it's after our Sunday school time. So we have church service, then Sunday school, and then on that Sunday, December 19th, the meal will follow Sunday school. And so again, we invite the community
It's
to
a
come be a part
traditional
of that.
meal.
Yes,
Yeah.
It's a very traditional meal. It's a great time, good fellowship. It's good to see the smiles and the visiting.
If you want to get real traditional, I'll be the dysfunctional part of the family.
and it is good. Even, I don't know, Christmas and Thanksgiving can be difficult times for some people, and because of loss of family members at that time of year, or whatever might happen. And it is so important for us to connect with Christian people and the fellowship that we have to help encourage us through sometimes when it's difficult as well.
I have a friend that just lost a friend to suicide. And again, these holidays can be so tough for people. They can be. It's a sword that kind of cuts both ways. It's a time of joy, but it can be a time of pain as well because of those things. And I do think it's important to remember as Christians that we have a hope that is not dependent upon the outward circumstances of this life. And that's probably the most significant thing for Christians, is that in spite of the difficulties in this fallen world, which include, ultimate, death and other forms of loss and difficulty, our hope in Christ is not dependent upon those outward circumstances. It remains through those things. And so Christmas time, when it's difficult, is also a time to remember that Christ came to save us and that we have a hope in Him that gets us through this fallen world. Right. I mean, that is the ultimate gift, is God's Son, Jesus, to show us how to live and how to love others. And that's what we just want to encourage you to do today or this season, is to give, to reach out to someone in need. You may be, through my own depression that I've struggled with for years, the only way I've been able to work through that is to reach out to others. I have to get myself out of my own head and stop focusing on my own problems and have a pity party. I mean, that's really kind of what some of mine was. I mean, I know there's also some chemical imbalances and things like that, but when you reach out and you think of others and you try to, focus on what really matters and eternal life, then this puts it all back in more of its proper perspective. So historically, can you tell us a little bit about why the Magi, the wise men, came from the east? I know all this through songs in the Bible, obviously, but also they brought gifts. That's right. Really special gifts to the infant baby that was laying there in the manger, or maybe he was a toddler. We don't know for sure when they arrived. Right. But do you know the background by why they brought gifts? Well, because they recognized that a king was born. And so they brought gifts that were fit for a king. And of course, traditionally we think of three magi or wise men, although they certainly could have had a big entourage with them. There might have been more than three, but there were three gifts. We think of three individuals, and there are even traditional names for those. But that's the predominant reason why they brought gifts, is, in my understanding, is because the king had been born, a king of the Jews, and they recognized. Well, they followed the star. I mean, astronomically, we know this world had a sign. Yeah, however we see that, right? And certainly God was involved in all that, and I see something that was miraculous there because the star moved, and I tend to see more of it. Just God provided this for them, and they recognized this and recognized the king had been born, and so they brought these gifts that would have been appropriate for that, and they worshipped him there. Yes. And so that's the background, and I think Christians today, I don't know, what historians might say of all the reasons why different people give gifts at this time of year. There may be, any number of backgrounds with that. Lots of folklore. But one thing that Christians today can certainly connect with, I think, is the fact that the wise men brought gifts to Jesus the King. And we can give gifts to others as a way of loving others as God desires that we do. So I think Christians can connect with
with that very, very well today, whatever the historical background might be with the tradition of giving gifts.
We talked about something kind of like this last Sunday in Super Church. It's kind of funny. We were talking about essentially using what you have to serve the Lord, no matter what your circumstances are. You know, a lot of kids out there go, well, I'm too young, or I don't have a job, or I can't do this. And I think a lot of us do the same thing. You know, we kind of say, well, I'd love to do this, or if I won the lottery, I'd give this much money to the church, or I'd give this money to this charity, or I would.
If and when.
But the other side of it is it's easy to give from our abundance, and to go, well, you know, if I had all this stuff, I'd give some of this away. It's really hard to give from our, you know, what we don't have a lot of. And I think that sometimes we consider the fact that, you know, gift giving, at least if we want to give a gift to the Lord, so to speak, or because of the Lord, a lot of times we just need to give what's most precious to us, which is maybe our time or our talents.
Exactly.
You know, it's kind of funny because you talk about needing help and things, and I rarely ever find myself in need of monetary support when it comes to things, because I think people are quick to meet that need. And it's not a hard need for people who are blessed to fill. But I have a hard time fulfilling the need sometimes of workers.
Being there.
Yeah. And it's not because like the world is full of terrible people. You know. It's just that it's much harder, I think, to give of yourself in that way, because it takes time to make commitment. You know. And so I know one of the things that I wanted to talk about today was, you know, during Christmas season we get a lot of goodwill and the spirit of I'm going to do wonderful things, you know, or I'm going to give back, or I'm going to be charitable, or I'm going to. The problem is that for many people that's a one-time feeling, or a month thing, or a December thing, and the reality it should be the beginning of something. And a lot of these organizations or people, churches, charities, you know, some of the, you know, like, you know, Angel Tree or the food distribution program, or some of these places that are doing things, they're doing them off of months of December as well. And my guess is December they probably have more volunteers than they could ever need. And then in January they probably are hurting for help. And so my encouragement would be, you know, make this the beginning of something. It's always good to be encouraged to do good things. I'm not trying to discourage that. But I think it should be at the beginning of something, because
That's your challenge.
We need to fulfill those needs, you know, year round. And some great people doing some great ministry and work, and gift giving on a regular basis. And it's our opportunity to kind of hop in and help out as well. So I don't know, I would challenge people to consider giving of themselves instead of maybe even of their finances. Finances are great, don't get me wrong, but a lot of times a far more precious gift is your talents and time.
Because that's what people need, and they're needing that relationship. People that care, people that are willing to listen and be there for them when they need it. When times are tough, and when times are good. You know, you want somebody to celebrate too.
True. Well, and I think God designed us also, to be honest with you, I think we're most blessed when we give more time and our talents. I feel good about giving to something financially, but I don't know, when I'm part of the work, I feel even better. And I think there's something that God has built into us, you know, to be people who give and to work and to participate. It's easy to give money to someone who's changing lives. It's harder to go out and be someone who's changing lives. And, and I think we benefit greatly from it. So it's one of those things where that's the biggest Christmas blessing, is this idea we get to represent the Lord. We get to do great things for Him. And so I want to take advantage of that opportunity this Christmas season. Start something new. Throw in and see what you can. You can't sacrifice some of your time and your talents. Do something great for the Lord.
And that reminds me of when every week I would try to take, you know, one lunch period and go and see my buddy at school when they had the lunch buddies. But of course, because again of the pandemic, we haven't been able to go back out there and see them physically. And so I miss that, because you're right. That was very rewarding for me, just to listen to this child and be there for him for a few minutes. I mean, he just lit up when I showed up.
Sure.
My family doesn't act that way. So it was fun, and it was good. And it was important for me too, like you said, because you can work. I think, the devil keeps us busy and keeps us distracted instead of focusing on the things that are most important. Well said. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. And keep doing the good work that you're doing. We are pleading for more volunteers and more help. So if you can give your time to whatever, your interests are, I'm sure they will greatly appreciate it. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.